everyone, welcome to our analysis episode of our legendary Let's Play with Volkmar the Grim for the Empire. In the last episode we completed the game and we got the short campaign complete, and here we have the long campaign complete. So in this episode I just want to kind of go over some of the overall strategies, why I did some of the things I did. Take a look at what strategies paid off, what kind of investments didn't, what could have been done better, and just try to look for mistakes that we can learn from to become a bit better at this game. Let's see, the Wars of Chaos are gone. Okay, so the final state of the campaign. We actually have a lot of money in the treasury. The majority of this money we got in the last turn, or the last like 2 turns, just from beating Chaos armies. It's just that gave us a huge amount of loot. But you beat 6 Chaos armies twice, you get like 1,000 to 2,000 each time. You ransom the captives. You know, you make a ton of money just from loot. So we ended the campaign with Volkmar the Grim's army. Volkmar got to level 30. You can see we still, even the very late game, don't have very many high tier units. We never even got a single greatsword unit.
Bring me to my men.
The highest tier units we got were the Demigryph Knights. And they performed quite well. They made Karl Franz's army incredibly strong. The other only high tier units we ever really got were various Regiment of Renown units, such as this artillery piece. The Reichsguard unit was quite valuable. There we go. So throughout the game we had several Regiments of Renown. All of these were useful at different parts. The Demigryph Knights were not quite as useful as the other ones, but these guys played a big part in helping bolster defenses, helping bolster attacking forces, giving us siege artillery before we could build the gunsmiths so we could siege towns efficiently. The actual state of this empire is not good for going beyond the campaign victory conditions, since otherwise we would have continuously been investing in upgrading economy. As you can see, there are quite a few places where we can build things, but in the last turns of the campaign I stopped investing in construction costs because we were on the verge of completing the game, and we just needed to have all the money that we could available to make sure that we could beat Chaos efficiently. Reichland looks particularly empty, where we actually blew up or demolished lots of buildings in Altdorf, and demolished other buildings that we just didn't need anymore. Again, just to bolster the finances for the push against Chaos. You can notice that none of our settlements have the public order buildings in them. It's all about money and defense, really, and some basic recruitment. The best way I found, and there's definitely different play styles about how you can deal with rebellions, is that I just like to build the main walls in the main settlement, and as long as you have the main settlement of a province, rebellions always happen at the main settlement. And if they have walls, then if you look at the garrison, you basically have a full stack army here. So the garrison can go toe to toe with any rebellion force. Now, if the rebellion's army configuration is weak enough that you can sally forth, then do it. And if it's not weak enough, then wait for them to attack and then successfully defend the siege, and that effectively deals with your public order problems, and it helps you milk the rebellions for money. The rebellions, I think they actually generate a fair amount of money. They might occur every 3 turns if you have terrible public order. And in those 3 turns, they'll spend a few turns to recruit. Then they might raid for a turn, and then they might siege. But then at the end of that, you can often get around 1,500 gold from destroying the rebellion, just from post-battle loot and selling the captives. So really, the rebellion system is a little strange. There's incentives to encourage rebellions, which is kind of weird. They're supposed to be negative. Maybe they'll balance that in the future by perhaps greatly diminishing how much money you actually get from them, or something like that, or randomizing where the rebellion occurs in a province. But for now, that's not the way the game works. So let's take a look at some of our stats. You can see we only needed to actually take 33 settlements in order to get all the territories we needed. We also only took settlements that we needed for the victory conditions. We didn't invade Bretonia. We didn't go south through the Blackfire paths or through the mountains to conquer the borderland territories or Astalia. We didn't get an insane income. Like it's the income's good enough, but at turn 79, you can really only have done so much economic investment at this point anyway. You can see here we looks like the final victory in the war against Chaos was a heroic victory at the Battle of Kislev. So that wasn't actually our forces. That was Kislev heroically defeated the Star Crusher guy, Kolek Sun Eater, and that was the end of Chaos, except for one attack, destroying Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. So anyway, let's look at our statistics. We captured 40, we lost 3. We constructed a fair amount of buildings. We only researched 8 technologies. Again, you just can't do that many technologies in 79 turns. We only completed the missions for these are those weird chapter missions. Not very interesting. Factions encountered 56, destroyed 11, 31 war declarations. Wow. How did it seem this number seems a bit high. Whatever. So let's look at our income. So our total income was 1.5 million gold. However, the numbers done here do not add up to this. So income from tax was about half of our total income. Trade was about 7%. Looting and sacking was about looting and sacking was about 6% or so. And you can see these numbers here do not add up to the total income. There's about 40% of our income missing from these numbers compared to total income. That missing, it'd be really nice to have that here. I'm not sure why they don't, but so looting and sacking. The other income would be, I believe, post-battle loot and ransoming captives. Now we got a tremendous amount of money from that. You can see by the lack of about 40% of our income came from how we aggressively always sold captives and always loot and occupied and all the post-battle loot. That contributed a huge amount of money to our overall income. Let's see, total expenditure, we spent about $1.5 million. We can see the how much we spent on recruitment, upkeep, and construction. You can see our construction cost was about the same as recruitment, about a third of upkeep. So upkeep accounted for the vast majority of our costs. However, we were able to significantly reduce the expenditure on construction by using the 20 to 30% off construction bonus a lot. So this number would be much higher, around 40 or so. And it's not just this number being higher, but when you increase the construction cost, it also decreases how fast you can invest. And so our total income from tax would also be a lot lower. So the construction cost increase or decrease buff doesn't just help lower this number, but also increases this number. Another source of income that isn't listed here, I think, would be demolishing buildings. We got a significant amount of income from that. We could not have gotten more than 30,000, so we probably got about maybe 10,000, or not. We couldn't have gotten more than 300,000. We maybe got 5 to 10% of this back. So that's part of the income here. Yeah. Okay. So forces. Nothing terribly interesting there. We ended the game with 9 armies. Destroyed a lot of units compared to how many we lost. Here we go. Here's our win-loss and battles statistics. 192 battles. 59 of those we fought personally. A lot of those were in the early game when it was most important to be stingy about losing. No casualties. 133 auto-resolved. That's fairly standard. Auto-resolving battles, like, some people don't like it. Fine, but don't auto-resolve. If you're playing for efficiency, which is usually what I am playing for, we auto-resolve when it's a good move to do so for the grand campaign, and we fight manually when it's not. Siege battles, 55 siege battles. A lot of those were manually fought. It's 6 ambush battles. So that's pretty important. Like, 6 is relatively high. Victories to defeats, 169 to 23. Definitely got about half of those were just minor settlement defeats. Those instances where we lost things, sometimes on purpose, in order to help ambush armies by trapping them in a settlement. Here we go, captives pardoned. So that's us selling the captives. You can see that we pardoned about over 95% of the time. Loot and occupied 24 compared to 2, 6, and 6. Well, okay. Well, loot and occupied and sacked 30 compared to destroying utterly 2. Those were scaling settlements that we raised. We didn't raise any other ones. And we only ever occupied peacefully 6 times. Those were times when it was like the extra replenishment rate was desperately needed. Recruited a bunch of heroes. This is interesting. 24 hero actions, 23 successful hero actions. I think that this includes deployment. So anyway, just because it's way too high compared to if we were like telling them to assassinate people. So that's the statistics. It'd be really nice if they had more information about like how much money we were getting every turn, how much we spent on this, etc. They have overall campaign statistics, but anyway. So you can see in the diplomacy tab, by the end of the campaign, all the green lands are people that are very happy with us. So we were able to befriend Bretonia and pretty much all the dwarfs. Kislev hates our guts because we had to trespass on them in order to fight chaos, but otherwise they should really like us. We saved their asses from chaos. Scaling and Varg are still present in the north, and of course they hate everybody. You can see we didn't expand beyond the borders of the Empire. That was just primarily for efficiency, so that we can end the campaign as quickly as possible, and also to maintain relations with Bretonia. And we didn't ever get that much money from trade, but it was about 10%, or no, what did I say, 6 or 7% of our total income. So it was definitely substantial. We wouldn't have wanted to been without that. So going after trade agreements is definitely worth it if you can. You can see we ended the game with really crappy public order all over the place. But that was part of our playstyle. We were milking rebellions, we were not investing in public order buildings, and we expanded very quickly. And there's just no way to do that and also have good public order. Not unless you're playing on like normal or easy or something like that. So there you have it. The complete restoration of the Empire, led by Volkmar the Grim, who is right there. So good job, Volkmar. That's the end of this episode. Catch you next time.